Welcome back to the collective. We're a little behind. That was my bad. Just so you know, we poster as you went live, so I
Gotcha,
figured you
gotcha.
probably didn't see it, and then tis the way of things. But
That's okay. It's okay.
today, I had an interesting thought, and I thought I would get right to it. We have some questions as well, but I wanted to get into this
Cool.
thought right away. Old school versus new school. And the reason I thought of this was that actually, as I was going through my pictures for the poster,
Mm.
I saw a picture of me on a horse at branding. And I always say, hey, we do it old school
Oh,
because
check. Yeah.
when we do branding, we do it like physically. We hold the calves down, we
Gotcha,
actually
gotcha.
brand them by hand, piece by
Check.
piece, right?
No
Um,
robots involved.
no, nothing like that. And one year we had one of our neighbors brought over a tie down that you, as you catch the calf and you drag him into the tie down and it keeps the calf down and you don't have to have extra people there to hold them down.
Oh,
So
yeah.
and we were all interested. We're like, "Ooh, look at this contraption. This is super cool and super neat and new school." But we eventually abandoned it because we all enjoyed doing it the old way.
Mm.
Right? We actually like the whole, you have teams of people working together and constantly moving and shifting, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about, the new school where things change and things evolve and things develop and things become better or more efficient or whatever. But then there's a point where people go, "Well, that's too far." Right? Like, the new school becomes too new or too different or too extreme or whatever, and the old school becomes entrenched in, "This is the way we used to do it. This is the way it was done back in my day."
Yeah.
And, I heard somebody tell me once, and it was actually about jujitsu, but they told me, they're like, "Usually the first way you're shown to do something, you think is the best way to do it because it was the first way you were shown how to do it."
Oh, that's not how my brain works.
No?
No.
So, what are your thoughts on the new school versus old school rift? And is there a way to develop as well? I guess in your thoughts, how do you keep open to that? Take what you can from the new and apply it to the old without losing the formula that worked so well.
Well, that's it. It's a formula. And so everyone loses sight of the formula.
Arne Gerben.
Warren Gerben. And so I'm just going to guess as to what your formula that you enjoyed the most of. It was kind of probably this. How old were you when you were doing it?
Well, I've been doing it since I was little, so I
Yeah,
was.
I'm talking about when it was old school.
Well, that would have been a couple years ago. So I
Okay, cool.
late
So
30s.
you're
Yeah,
you're a grown man,
yeah.
and so you'd learned a few things along the way in military and et cetera. So the reason that you probably liked old school is because you probably felt like a valued member of a hardworking team that was all working together on a common purpose.
Yeah.
That, by the way, also felt a little gritty.
Yes.
Am I wrong so far?
You're dead on.
And
Exactly right on.
so where did it change? You tell me.
I think when the team aspect of it is removed, because the
So describe precisely what changed then.
uh, I think probably the exactly what changed was it became work.
Not
Like,
fun?
it wasn't fun anymore because the team environment was lost, there was no chit chat, there was no
Wasn't
movement
fun
between
because
people.
anybody valued you?
Uh, I wasn't on that particular job at that point in time, so that like, I still had a
So now
job
we're
to do.
theoretical.
Well, no, the ambiance changed of the whole like, the,
Because
uh
the guy with the special skill, old schooly skill, isn't needed anymore. And now he doesn't feel valued,
I could see that, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's an aspect
Okay.
of it. The other aspect is as soon as things change from old school to new school, we'll call it, it's a goofy title, but it'll help get the conversation going. The idea is that now there's new efficiencies, now there's new effectiveness, now there's new, Let's do it bigger, better, faster, stronger. Let's do it in 10 seconds instead of a minute. Let's
Mhm.
get let's get Boston Dynamics robot in here to now it's tying the rope or
Yeah.
whatever. And all of a sudden everyone's stepping back and thinking like, what about me?
Mm.
I used to be the special foot wrapper guy. I knew a secret knot. I had all the stuff.
Yeah.
Now you don't, because now a robot's doing it, and now you don't
Yeah.
feel special. And here's how it ends up sort of cascading or devolving into a non-awesome solution. Is the robot's doing your special job, you don't feel important anymore, and you're standing around watching the job get done way faster than you could, way more effectively than you could. And as you're standing around, someone looks at you and says, "Dude, you're doing nothing. Get your hands out of your pockets. Go slop those pigs. The pigs need slopping.
Yeah.
You used to be the special rope guy. Now you're the pig slopper because
Yeah.
you're sitting around with your hands in your pockets." Now, that never had to happen because
True.
an effective team leader could have done this. Oh, the team leader. A farmer could have done this. All right, troops, or hey, farmers, things are about to change. We've got the Boston Dynamics robot dog here to tie up all the cattle and take care of all of that business. What are we going to do with all of this spare time? Because there's spare time now, right?
Yep.
And so, what are we going to do with our spare time? That is an interrogative opportunity. That's a leader saying, "We've got an opportunity. Let's use it wisely
Yeah.
instead of putting our hands deeper in our pockets and moaning." And so, someone puts their hand up and says, "Well, the pigs need slopping, but what the heck? Can we teach the robot dog to slop pigs as well?" Good idea, Jimmy. Go figure out how to lead the robot dog to there and go figure out put guys on task so that they feel important again, valued again, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. Now they're in a game. Things suck when it ain't a game. Things suck when you ain't a valued member of the game that isn't even being played. Things suck when you're standing around with your hands in your pockets thinking, I used to be a badass, but now I'm being told to slop the pigs. That's
Yeah.
just poor leadership.
Yeah. It 100% is. I love this because I was listening to your live earlier and I was jumping in and out as my kids were running around. But I jumped in right at the point and you were all like, that's bad leadership. Things could have been done differently. And I was like I've heard that a few times throughout my time in the military and outside, but
It's not that
the key
I don't want to
yeah.
I'm not pumping my fist to the clouds. You know that.
Oh yeah.
It's not that my reason for existence is not to complain about bad military leadership.
Yep.
No one has to make that their job.
No.
The system actually does a great job of letting us all know how bad leadership is.
That's pretty good at that.
I mean, thank you for actively letting us all know that you're doing a terrible job at senior leadership.
Yeah.
No one has to dig too deep. No one has to start a decade-long looking under the rocks to find problems. It's freaking like front and center on the regular.
It's pretty obvious. Yeah.
It's so obvious. And so there's some rotten leadership, and with amazing leadership, all of these old school, new school problems would all be like no one had space blasters 20
Yeah.
years ago. No one has them now. Someone will have them in the future.
Yep.
And it's some leader's job to make that awesome, not the suck.
Yeah.
I if I'm reincarnated as Space Ninja, I don't want to have my hands in my pockets, standing around waiting for someone to say, "Go slop out the laser pig trough."
Yeah. The laser
That's just
pigs.
leadership.
Look out for those laser pigs. We this actually it's kind of perfect, and I say that pretty often, but it leads exactly into what we one of the questions we have here, and that is boom. This is from yesterday. After a question that I was curious after today's episode: is there something that you have taken from your time in the military that you feel should translate to civilian life but doesn't? And I feel that that is pertinent to what we're talking about because I think the biggest thing is leadership. Like just straight, solid leadership. Lead. That's my thoughts. What do you got, Sean?
Yeah.
Or is there something else? Something more?
No, no, it's definitely a thing. But I was trying to figure out a nice way to say it. Not nice, maybe polite, not polite, maybe diplomatic, but not diplomatic. It was more along the lines of I just try. It's not that I actively try to insult people, or I'm not actively trying to annoy people or put people off. All I will say is this: my opinion is as such. In the civilian world, there aren't a lot of leaders.
Mm,
There are a lot of managers.
yep.
Management is not leadership. Management is counting beans. It's not looking after them. And so there's not a lot of great leadership in the civilian world. And therefore, it doesn't understand good leadership when it's kicking it in the ass. And so take any good, we'll say any good military leader and put them out onto civilian street. And there's no obligation that anyone has to listen to you. And so it's now your job to figure out how to lead a group of people or an organization or an institution or whatever in front of you that may never have been led before. It may have been managed, but it may never have been led. And for you to step into that role as a leader, we'll say, to try and lead in a way that they've never been led before, it's probably doomed to failure if you think you can go from 0 to 60 in a split second on leadership. So it goes back to that easing people in to leading or
Mhm.
leadership and what that truly means rather than manage or managementship. And
Mhm.
so I thought that getting out onto civilian street and leading would be easier, but it isn't. It
Mm,
doesn't translate very well into civilian life because the population just isn't used to being led, it's used to being managed. And that's from the highest levels of all institutions, all private and public, political, all the way down to a janitor business. It doesn't matter what it is, a fast food business, a car dealership business, all the way down to an individual
yeah.
walking down the sidewalk. They don't know how to lead themselves in their life because they've never been led.
Yeah.
And I just thought it would be a whole lot easier to help people to understand what leadership means and how to lead yourself and blah, blah, blah. But as it turns out, it doesn't translate as well as I thought it would
Mhm.
or should or could.
Hmm. Do you think that that comes from the fact, like we were just, like you were just talking, you have a valued member, a team-based system within the military. We're all going down the same road. We're all looking for the same. Uh, the objective is the same. We all want to win, right? We're all there to do the job. And in, I think maybe in the civilian world, there's less of that. Do you think that it could be one of the issues, or do you think it was more of a like a just that you don't know what you don't know?
Hmm. I think there's a couple of things going on in making the comparisons as you just did between a commonality of focus or a mission focus or a
Hmm.
task focus where someone in the military or a group in the military will be able to easily understand, oh, there it is, that's where we're going and this is why.
Hmm.
And so that ability within the military to um, commonly as a group act as a group to execute against the group task, that happens way easier in the military because that's what we were taught to do.
Yeah.
But no one in the civilian world is taught to do that, unless maybe, like a sport team or whatever.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, they're not raised from the age of 18 to whatever age to act as a common minded organism to execute against the mission has priority.
Hmm.
So, because they're not taught that, it doesn't happen commonly. And so, the other aspect is that even if someone's in that organization chipping away and trying to teach leadership, there's way more distraction in the civilian world than there is in the military world. So let me give you a broad comparison. One is that in the civilian world, you're climbing up the corporate ladder for money.
Yeah.
And so in the military, I don't know. I didn't. If I would have in my military career been there to climb up the money ladder, I'd still be looking for the first rung because
Yep.
that ladder barely exists. I mean, at
Yep.
least for me at the time, nobody worked for the money because the money was terrible.
Yeah.
And so that isn't an incentive. The incentives that you have in the military are more focused on performance.
Mm-hmm.
The incentives are more focused on not only doing your job well and you'll get a nod, but wanting to do more of the job well.
Yeah.
And that just isn't the way it is in the civilian world as I see it. And again, this is a broad contextualization. Obviously, there's a boatload of institutions and companies and whatever out there that are better than special operations, we'll say, because they're so much better. Now I don't have to have all those haters hitting me for, oh man, like my frisbee golf company really kicks ass. I'm sure it does. It could be tier 0.5. I don't know. They could be amazing. Your company could be amazing. That company could be amazing. All of those companies could be amazing. What I'm saying is, as a common theme, that ain't the case.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are far less than amazing, and they could be more amazing if they understood the difference between management and leadership, would be my point.
Yeah. We got a great comment from Wade. One of the old principles of leadership: know your soldiers and promote their welfare. It goes right back to valuing your people, and they in turn will value your vision.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's 100% accurate.
Yeah, because a good leader knows it's called assets.
Yeah.
You manage your assets. And it doesn't matter whether you're managing them in country or out of country. And now I'm talking about when I bounced out of the military when I was a veteran and I was doing, we'll call it international security consulting. I'm looking at a person, at a human being, trying to get to know them. And I'm also looking at an asset, trying to understand how to manipulate them to exploit their talent in order to execute against the mission priority, which is the priority. And so it's not that I'm dehumanizing them by considering them an asset. I'm more correctly assigning the correct focus on that individual to better understand the pros and cons so that I can exploit those in order to gain what I or we as a team need to accomplish. And it's not because I'm, again, not respecting the person. I'm respecting them enough to deeply and quickly understand how I can best use them or how they can best use themselves.
Yeah. And I was looking up this word, promote their welfare, because I wanted to really kind of harp on this, because you could break this down into something else too, which is even something smaller, which was take care of your men, right? That was what I was always told: take care of your men, they'll take care of you. The thing that I never really liked about it was the fact that taken care of denotes a level of inability for I take care of my kids, right? I take care of them. So I am now, but what I really like about this line, promote their welfare, to advance to the next higher grade, right? So it's not just that you're taking care of them and making sure that they're squared away and making sure they have all their stuff and so on and so forth. You're promoting their welfare, that their welfare needs to be elevated in so many words. But I really love the fact that that's written that way, because it is an accurate statement.
Well, I would just go one step further.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is 100% correct sentence that then could maybe just benefit from a comma and then the follow-on verbiage, which is, so I'll state it out loud: know your soldiers and promote their welfare, and also try to teach them how to promote their own welfare.
Yeah.
Like, my job is not to teach them how to do this, that, and the other thing. My job is to teach them how to teach themselves
Yeah.
how to do this, that, and the other thing. Like a raw recruit in basic training. Yeah, I could shut down my entire brain and still teach a raw recruit how to be an infantryman.
Yeah.
But I need a lot of my brain in order to teach that same raw recruit how to become the best warrant officer in the world. Because that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Or best senior NCO or best whatever. My job is not just to lead them. My job is to teach them how to be leaders.
Yeah. And that's what I was reading into the concept of promoting their welfare, because it's not just about me taking care of their welfare. It's about them taking care of their own welfare and teaching them how to do that, which is
There's
100%
an old
right.
saying.
Yeah.
If you can't look after your feet, you can't look after men.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm big on the foot powder. I'm a big foot powder kind of guy. We got another comment from Honda 008. In the civilian world, the book would be titled "Me, the Mission, Money, and the Man." I think in some places
Yeah.
it probably could be called that for sure.
No, I think in a lot of places, man. I
Yeah.
really do. I think that the certainly in North America anyway, the defocus of the mission priority has distorted itself into the me priority.
Mm.
And we talk about it over here from time to time, of course, in respect to how um, the center of the universe is that individual. They are their own center of the universe, and everything that spins around it is because of their beck and call. And it's a wrong mindset. And I agree that the book. Here's the irony of this. In the civilian world, the book would be titled "Me, the Mission, Dollars, and the Man. Please buy my book."
It's so true.
It's so true. And if you buy it, I might even sign it,
Yeah.
but that'll cost you an extra $10.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw I think it was a meme at one point in time. I would have to go looking for it to actually pull it up, but it was how to make $1 million in 10
Oh,
days.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was like
yeah,
a
yeah,
book,
yeah.
right? And in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first page, it said, sell this book.
You bought it.
Exactly. We got another comment. Wade, first off, hey, Wade, how's it going? Nice to see you.
Yeah, buddy.
If you can check the ego as a leader and realize that someone will be better than you at some point, it should mentor that person and help them exceed past you and be happy to see it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my greatest um, rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Julie Kelly. She's been you've spoken with
Yeah.
her, and not one of my great moments in my life, but another great moment um, was handing the torch off to Julie Kelly as a leader, as a coach. I don't want to say I raised her up to that position after 10 years of shaping her leadership abilities and her racing abilities and her coaching abilities. But after 10 years, I did shape her to some degree. And when I handed her that torch of now you go coach all of the work that I've been building up over the last 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that she was representing me. She was representing herself. But it made me, I don't know if it made me proud. It pleased me to know that someone is going to go out and do a better job than I did through my own efforts to teach them how to do it better than I did.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my, I actually say this quite often when I'm teaching jujitsu, is that one of my goals as an instructor is to make you better than me. And that's the goal. I think that when I want my kids to do better than me, I want anybody that I can pass on even a slight bit of knowledge to. I would like them to exceed the skill set that I have. I really would, because that means we all win. Everybody wins. And the
Unless
team
it's a
wins.
competition, then I'm going to crush everyone.
Unless it's a competition, in which case then you're going down. That's very true. All right. Any further points on that? Because we got another question I can
No,
jump on.
no.
All right, let's dive into the next question here. There we go. If you got to the end of your life, and as you were taking your last breath, a voice told you, "I hope you made it worth it. What are you going to do for your second life?" And at that point, you're reborn to live one more time with the only caveat that you can't do what you did before. What would you do?
I got asked a similar question to this, though it wasn't quite as end of life dramatic, but
Mm,
I dig the scenario because it makes the point well. The question that I was asked in my live chat on my IG page, it was probably about half an hour ago. The question was asked, and it was, "Hey, Sean, if you could go back and do it all again, would you be an officer?" And so, I was offered my officer candidacy. I turned it down and kept on doing what I wanted to do, which was be a senior NCO. And now, having gone through the entire system the way I did and the understandings that I've got, I gave it a touch of thought, and I stated that, based on right now, I would probably go back and become an officer.
mm,
Given the choice, do you want to be a private tailor, or do you want to be an officer tailor? And this time around, I would take the officer route. Not that I would be successful or not. I don't know. That's not my point. And I'm not suggesting that I would be a good officer. I don't know that because I don't know. I never went through that system, but I would like to experience it because it would take me on a similar path that I feel that maybe this time around I would be able to hopefully affect more cause change,
mm,
maybe affect more, I don't know, positivity, more we can all do better
mhm,
attitude. I think maybe in that capacity, I could have had a little bit more influence, not bizarre influence like look at me go. I mean, just like shaping younger minds into trying to do better or want more for themselves. So I think that's what I would probably do with that last breath is say, I'd like a do over as an officer.
What if you couldn't be a soldier at all? Like that's what I'm reading into it. So you
Okay,
wore the
check.
uniform. No more uniform. Where would you go? No more mountain biking. What would you do? No more computer system engineering. Like if you had to every choice that you made
So
up
not the same career at all.
at all, like
Okay.
completely left turn.
You know what I would try to do, I think, and I haven't thought about it. So this is what's flashed into my head is some sort of diplomacy. I'm not a very diplomatic guy.
Think you're
It's
rather diplomatic.
well, I like pushing buttons. So if that's
Yeah,
diplomacy, all
it could
right.
be.
I think I would like to be a diplomat,
Mm,
and I would have to. It would be challenging for me because I would have to not only learn how to do it, but I'd have to learn how to do it well, and that would require me to reshape some of my natural inclinations. Where if I get my back up, you're gonna get it.
mhm.
So obviously, I would have to incise out a lot of my character flaws, perhaps. But I think any career that I would want to do I would demand that of myself anyway. I would want something that's
Yeah.
super challenging for me, and I would want something that is of benefit to humanity and not just on a one-to-one basis, but on a larger scale. And I suppose it's those kind of things that attracted me to tier one.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense. It's really hard. The way I read this was that at least the way I'm thinking about it was the fact that it's the choices that you make, the choices that I made in order to get to where I am right now, all of them I would not consider the choices that I made now. So I'd be a completely different person. I wouldn't seek out the challenges that I do now. I wouldn't be, I wouldn't enjoy the things that I do now. I could have, continued to play sports at a high level. I could
Dude,
have
you would have been
chosen
even
whatever.
nerdier.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm probably playing chess all day long. But it could be anything. And I was looking at this question, I was breaking down the choices in my life, the big ones of, do I go to school? Do I join the army? Do I get another dead end job, or do I start looking for a career? Do I, because if you break it down far enough, if you go back far enough, there's going to be a choice that you said A or B. And that A or B will shift your entire destiny across the board. We got a
Yeah,
comment
but just
here, I
hang on
think.
a sec
Okay.
here, because here's what I heard you say: a non-answer.
It totally
What
is
what
not
what
answer.
you did was you broke down your kind of thought process, which was all just chunks of actions and considerations, and I don't want to like compare your non-answer to my answer, but my answer was this: it was a broad generality of I want to do a thing for these reasons.
Yeah.
But all I heard was you considering how you wanted to what? Say that again?
I could do anything. That's the thing. It
Yeah,
could
you
be
can. So how about you
anything.
choose something? What would you do?
I think
Maybe you just missed that last part of
no,
the
I got it. I was actively trying to slide past it so I didn't have to answer. But I think that the thing that I wanted to do the most when I was a kid that I chose not to do was track. Get like really involved in track.
Mm,
And I think I would have been much more involved in that realm. And I
mm.
chose not to. So, I actively chose not to because I was just like, meh. But I loved it. I loved running. I loved doing high jump. I loved doing long jump. I loved being involved in that the the team aspect, even though it was
Okay.
singular stuff. Um, I think that's probably where I would go more. I don't. That would probably change the course of most of my life though as well. So who knows? But I think
Yeah, it
that'd be
would
cool.
have. But here's because you were saying track and you're saying high school and you're good in it and etc. This popped into my head. A moment in high school, our high school PE teacher, physical education teacher, um, had us all outside, and he had his stopwatch of the day, the big old silver one.
Hmm.
And I was crouched down on the dirt, ready to go on a 100-meter dash. And he said, "Go." And I pounced. I was fast, man. I have a lot of fast twitch in me from
I don't
back in
doubt
the
it.
day. I still have some. I'm still reasonably fast for an old dude. So if you ever get punched in the throat and you're surprised, don't be surprised. You just got warned.
You hear that, world? You
I'm
got
reasonably
warned.
fast.
Reasonably fast.
So, when he said go, bam, off I went. And he hit that stopwatch and he called me back and he said, "That's a record." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he told me the time, which meant nothing to me because I
Yeah,
had no context.
yeah.
And he said, "Do it again. See if you can run it that fast." And, down in the dirt, bam. And off I went. And I just did it a touch faster. And he said, "That's another record." And I was like a school record or, and he said, "No, that's a national record." And I had no idea what he was talking about. And I never followed up on it ever
Hmm.
because I didn't care.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to me. Oh, cool. I got it. Please, internet, do not get this twisted. I'm not making any claims that I ran a national record at any time in my life as a kid on a 100-meter dash. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just relaying the moment.
Yeah.
And so as he told me that, here's what went through my head. Whatever, man. What's next?
Yeah.
Because I didn't care. I just didn't care. It wasn't my focus. And so the way I thought and maybe the way you thought in track and field are two radically different things because it didn't matter. Put a pole in my hand and make me jump over things, make me throw things, make me do whatever things. Cool. But I didn't care about my little medals or my little
Mhm.
pats on the back or you just ran the fastest 100-meter dash in the galaxy. Didn't matter. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I was looking for the next thing on the horizon.
Mm. The thing I really liked about it was the incremental nature of it. I think I've always liked stuff that you can break down into small pieces. I'm a puzzle kind of guy. I like taking stuff apart. Uh, and the thing that I loved about, especially like high jump or long jump or thing, like you're winning or losing by, quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch, right? Like it
Mhm,
is
mhm.
incremental, and it's based on, how did you step off? Like 6, 7, 8 steps behind when you first took off. That gives you your, quarter inch or half an inch
Oh,
or
yeah, I
whatever.
love it, man. I mean, I've
Mm,
worked with athletes on this
yeah.
kind of stuff, and it's fascinating, and it's fascinating for them.
Hmm.
Now, take it back to where we kinda started off. Why is it fascinating to them? Because it's fascinating to me.
Hmm.
And if I'm coaching them, if I'm leading them, I'm gonna teach them not only how to be fascinated, but I'm gonna teach them how to use that fascination and that curiosity and all of those things to then teach themselves how to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I can kinda step back, put my hands in the pocket, and look for the pig trough.
What's next? I love it. We got a comment from Gerben here. You'd still be doing the same thing though. You apply the Sean to a new role, but you'd be doing the same thing. It would just generate a different effect in the world. I think that's a great point. Is
Yeah,
that
it's a great point, and you know what? That's just what I was taught to do, and maybe I've got a little bit of in me naturally, but and the things that I do, I've been taught to do.
yeah.
Any anything that I do was taught to me, and so the little things that I've picked up along the way that are my own uniqueness, that's just a combination of all of the things that were taught to me, and
Hmm.
so, the comment is fair that, whatever I apply myself against is gonna get the outcome will be a result of all the cool people that I've met in my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I suppose wherever I cast my direction, there's gonna be something decent-ish that comes of it because I'm always doing my best, but I'm trying to represent all the people that have been cool to me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's an interesting take on this question. Gerben points out, I take the question we just iterated. I take that question as what would I want to be different about myself? That's a very good insight into that because you are asking, what would you do differently? Which would change you very drastically because we are a some of our experiences and our insights based on those. What do you think?
What would I want to be different about myself? I suppose, um, now I guess the way I'm reading this now is, and it might not be perfectly clean, sort of interpretation, but I think what would I like to incise out of myself as a character flaw, or what would I like to be different about myself is stripping out the garbage and
Mm,
creating more awesomeness. And so, maybe that's, how it should be read.
maybe. It's interesting too because you could read this larger question, if you had to do it again, what would you do? That if you couldn't do what you did now, what would you do?
Right.
And you could very easily take this as, what would I want to be different about myself versus
Well, certainly I chose diplomat because,
yeah,
that would be a way different, career than how I started off in the military. But funnily enough, as I got towards the end of my military career, you're kind of becoming a diplomat anyway.
yeah,
That whole cliche warrior diplomat or etc.
warrior
And
poet,
so,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And so, I think that if I was starting my getting out of high school, I'm looking at my first career. I can't be a soldier, as an example. Now I want to be a diplomat. And why? Because I looked at with the question, looked at my career and thought, not what's the opposite of a soldier, but what allows me to be very different than a soldier as a career, but still accomplish the things that I feel deep inside of me, which is being an agent of change,
Yeah.
creating positive outcomes in the world around me, helping the underdog, um, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things I think can be done as a diplomat. but it would take a radical, what is there a buzzword going around right now, like radical transformation or is
Maybe.
are one of the flavors of the month out there, one of the talking heads using a cool phrase right now called radical re-internalization? I hope so.
I have not heard it, but maybe. You know, who knows?
I hope so because I just stole their word.
It's a vast
Um,
world. It could be.
it could be. So that's why I thought of diplomat is because it would require me to kind of reconfigure my internal dialogue, my own internal personality traits, flaws, strengths, shortcomings, etc. And so I'd find it extremely challenging, but extremely rewarding because my reward is in the challenge,
Yeah.
but my reward is also in the outcome. And the
Mhm.
outcome is being assigned as kind of like being a soldier, except not having to throat punch people quite as much.
Quite as much.
So,
You got to get one of those in every once in a while.
yeah, for sure. I mean, through your words,
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
cut someone to the quick with
Mhm.
a insightful, incisive word.
For sure.
And that's an art, of course. But I'm pretty sure that I could have developed that art to a degree where I would have been useful in a diplomatic setting.
Hmm. Now, I think I have an epiphany on this question, and I'm going to put it back up here because I just want to. The way he wrote it, it's like if you got to the end of your life and you were taking your last breath, a voice told you, "I hope you made it worth it." Here's
Hell
the
yeah,
thing
I
that
did.
yeah, here's the thing that I just realized is that we get to do this every morning.
Oh, dude, I just said
Every
that in
morning.
my live chat.
I know, that's why it's like it just reminded me of it as I was going through this, I was like, "Well, I've heard this before. Wait a second. Oh, yeah."
Yeah,
Uh,
did you also use the word what was it? Insightful? Did you use
Insightful. I
the
didn't use it, but you did. But I think the key on this is that you really do get to do that every day. You get to
You do.
wake up in the morning, and you get to say, "What do I wanna do differently? What do I have I made yesterday worth it so that now today I can do X or Y or Z?" And you can if you realize, "Hey, I don't wanna do this anymore," cool. Do something different. Pick something. Take a different lane.
Yeah, but not do something different. Do you different.
Do you different. That's a good
And
point. Yeah.
so when you were answering this question earlier, you were talking about all of the, I could have been a clown.
Yeah. Could
I
be.
could have been the guy who put the thing in the thing. No, we're
Yeah.
talking about you,
I could make
not
widgets.
the job. And so you could have been a widget maker,
Yeah,
but still the same you.
could be.
And where's the growth in that, right? And
Yeah.
so rather than I'm not suggesting you're thinking of it wrong, pal. I'm just saying that if you're waking up in the morning trying to do your day differently by externalizing, I
Yes.
think you're kind of getting it wrong. Not you, but whoever's listening to this,
Yeah.
who's waking up in the morning and thinking, I'm just going to change it all around. I'm going to put on clean socks this morning. Well, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
But that ain't changing who you are at your core. That ain't deeply thinking about how to make recalibrations. That's just thinking about like super minor things that are just one step above keep blinking your eyes. And so, or keep breathing or keep swallowing. I mean, those are autonomous responses that should be looking after themselves in the background
I was just picturing
as your socks
yeah,
should take care of themselves as well.
I was just
S
picturing someone trying to put socks on over top of Dorito bag slippers,
Correct. I mean, dude, I
right?
that's what popped into my head. It was ridiculous as well. And so, if you're looking to make changes, don't be so rapid fire to wake up in the morning and think, "Oh, I'm gonna go wash my car."
Yeah.
How about just not even get out of bed and think about how you're gonna change? Wash yourself internally, wash your mind, wash your thoughts, put them through a deep cycle, throw them in the dryer, get some nice clean thoughts, and try a new day with some new vision.
Yeah. It's an amazing realization. Once you can I was actually telling my son this today, is that you're in control. It's your life. It's your program, as you like to say. It is your choice to do whatever it is you want to do. And whether that is externalize or internalize, or there are lessons in doing all of those things. And if you choose to externalize, that can lead you down a pathway that is interesting, to say the least. But it also, you can learn from that. You can go through a point of time of externalizing and then go, wait a second, nothing's changing. And then learn and go, oh, maybe I shouldn't externalize. And then you can internalize. Or you can read someone's book that says, don't externalize your problems. You go, oh, that's a good idea. And then you don't. So, but I think there are lessons, as we often say, there are lessons in failure. There are lessons in doing things correctly, as well as doing things incorrectly. And the thing that I was talking to my son about was, he said, I don't want to go downstairs because I'm scared of the dark. And I was like, okay, you can be scared. That's fine. But it's still your choice to whether or not you allow that to dictate what you want to do. Now he's 5. So I'm not like saying that he should just like overcome everything and be good to go. But I wanted him to actually understand that it's still his choice whether or not he allows the emotion to dictate what he does, or if he dictates to his body.
You know, I was thinking about this yesterday after we had the conversation over at the collective yesterday. And um, it was along the lines of, I'd heard you say that, you know, you like to give your sons opportunities to try this. Just go out and try something, do something, try something was generally your theme.
Yep.
And I almost interjected at that point, and I guess I'm interjecting now and saying that, yeah, you can do that. We all can. I have with my kids. But there's a time and place where it's got to stop. Because now you're just reinforcing dabbling. Go try this, try that. No consequence. And so we intermixed the exposure to different things with, okay, so you like you like skiing, you like cross country skiing. That's fun to you, being out in the sun and slushing back and forth and being in nature and etc. Good. We do as well. But these skis, they cost $500. And if I buy these, it's not called dabbling anymore. It's called consequences. You're asking me to buy those in order for you to go and do the thing that you're self-proclaiming you really love. Time to love on it. Time to earn. And so, you know, I drew a line. If our sons said, this is really fun being a clown. I want to be part of a circus. Cool. What's a circus pass cost? $1,000 a year. Earn.
Yep.
Earn. Because if you're dabbling and thinking that you're now gonna bail on that commitment, wrong. You're all in, little man.
Yeah.
You're earning your choice. The consequences of your choice need to be understood, that it isn't dabbling.
Yeah. And I love the fact you bring this up, because I had that conversation with my son Arden when he didn't want to go to jiu-jitsu. I said, man, these are the choices that you're making. We can either stop and I don't need to buy you a new gi. I don't need to and it can be over. Or you can put the work in. And those days that you don't want to be there, when you're cross-country skiing and it's cold and dark and windy and snowing and you do not want to go outside, those are the points you got to put the boots on.
Yeah, and so I've had those conversations.
Yeah.
And the additional piece to the conversation is this. Cool. I'm not saying you got to make a decision right now, kid, but you're going to have to make a decision. Yeah. And know this, that if you say, I don't want to do ... that sentence then needs to be filled with the follow-on sentence, which is, I'm going to replace it with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then you're going to explain to me how that's all going to play out. Because the moment that you uncommit is the moment that you recommit to something else that you either bailed on in the past that you're going to be held responsible for, or into the new thing, which better be more fiery than what you just stepped out of.
Yeah.
And so there's no backsliding, there's no shirking, there's only earn your way.
Yeah. Yeah. And to clarify, when I tell my boys, you can do anything, try that, try this, try that. I don't mind them trying stuff, but if there needs to be an investment, then that's where the conversation happens. Because if you want to try rock climbing, okay, cool. Let's go down to the climbing gym. We'll get you set up. We'll rent some things for a day or two,
Yeah, that's
whatever.
not an investment. That's
No,
that's
exactly.
fun checking
That's
things
just
out, of
fun.
course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when he says, I want to climb, I really, really, really want to climb. I want to climb every day. Okay, now there's an investment. Now you need your own gear. Now we need to
That's
buy
right.
we need to get into you need to understand things. There's classes that you'd need to take, et cetera, qualifications that you're going to need.
We
And
went through the same thing with our son, our youngest son, Keegan. He'd said the same thing. He was starting to enjoy indoor rock climbing, and I
Mhm.
said, "Okay, cool. Like, what do you need?" I'd like some my own indoor climbing shoes. Done. Now, now go earn them. Go put
Mhm.
them to work. And you know what? He climbed on an indoor climbing wall for here in town for about 3, 4 years.
Okay.
And so, as far as I'm concerned, he checked that box.
Yep.
And he never needs to climb on another indoor climbing wall for the rest of his life, but he probably will with
Mhm.
friends in the future again, because that's just what he will do. It was not a contentious, I hate rock climbing, I'm out of here. No, I did it for 3 or 4 years. And so he likes it. He's capable and competent at it, far better than I am at it.
Mhm.
And so in the future, I'm sure he will do it again if he gets invited, 4 years from now in university. He's just finished and everyone wants to celebrate with a rock climbing wall party.
Yeah.
He'll be stoked for it. And
Yeah.
it's a richer, more nuanced, complex kid that can take care of business across a broad bandwidth of challenges out there in life that we're supposed to set them up for to be able to competently move through them and not even blink.
Yeah.
And so, it shouldn't be expose your kids to a million things as dabblers, expose them to enough things, and then hold their feet to the fire on those things so that the adversity, the lessons learned will set themselves up for the future.
Yeah. There's something to be said about, suffering. And I don't mean suffering in a bad way, but there's going to be points if you really love something that you're going to have to push through some suffering,
You got to pay the price, man.
and you got to pay. That's right.
If
And
if everyone keeps giving you a 3 ticket ride for free, all of a sudden you start disrespecting the ride.
yep.
No, you're going to earn that ride.
Hmm. So here's the question then. Where does the line, where's the line between the dabbling of trying something and then, uh, earning it, buying in, doing those things? Because you could dabble for a couple of years, right? I dabbled playing hockey. I did it for 2 years. In the adult leagues, and okay, cool. I got done, but I still have all my own gear. I got all my
Mhm,
own scale. I got all my stuff, right? I made the investment. I had spent the time there.
mhm.
Realized after a couple years that's not for me, but I consider it dabbling because I wasn't playing. I was playing for fun. I wasn't playing to go
Hey,
anywhere with it.
so Dablin, do you think that you, over the 2-year period, I don't know what kind of money you invested in all of your hockey,
It's whatever.
couple K or what? I
Some
don't know.
maybe a couple $1,000 worth
Okay.
of
Do you think
equipment.
you got $2,000 worth out of it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right then. Move
Over a
right
couple years.
along.
Yeah,
Do you feel like
but
a quitter?
no,
Okay. Is there any other issue that is kind of bugging you about that little phase?
no. Other than
All
the
right.
fact that I have a big bag of equipment still in it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
been
Well,
taking
that's
up
not
space,
wise,
but
but
yeah.
do you think you were dabbling
No,
or
I
So actually, I'll rephrase my question, breaking it down into a physical and breaking it down into, we'll call it a emotional, spiritual, psychological,
Okay.
more intellectual question.
Non-physical realm, yeah.
Right. So, physically, maybe you checked enough boxes. Maybe you went 50 times or 60 or 12. It doesn't matter the number, arbitrary number you went
Hmm.
and practiced. And somehow you got right with the idea of, yeah, I got my money's worth. Is it the other part that's bugging you, that you entered into it, that you feel that maybe you just didn't go all in, or maybe you didn't, whatever, that is kind of just teasing at your brain stem a little bit?
I think the one thing that I don't like about it is how, I guess maybe how or why I left. Right? I didn't stop playing because I didn't want to play anymore. I stopped playing with a particular team because of the people that were on the team and
All
some of the
right.
things that were being said. So I
All
said,
right.
you know what, let's bounce. And the other part of it was I noticed was that the culture within the league itself wasn't very conducive to the enjoyment that I was getting out of it.
So when did you start seeing that or realizing that?
Yeah, it was about halfway through the second season was
Yeah,
I
okay.
started going like, this is not.
Forming the patterns.
And then I was looking around going, this is, and we kept getting into games where, people thought they were in the NHL
All
and
right.
like they were lining up hits and like doing stuff that you could, this is a 40-plus-year-old league, right? People are
Right,
older.
right, right,
We're not in the NHL, that kind of stuff. But on top of that, there was, yeah, I'll say it right out. There were a lot of racist comments made on the bench that I was not
right.
in agreement with. And
Yeah,
so
so
culture
when that was
changed.
said, what did you do?
I said, shut the hell up.
Right.
And
And did they?
no. And so I
Good.
said, "Okay, well,
All
this
right, I'll
isn't
see
worth
you off
being
the
here."
ice.
This is it. I just was like, I'm not I don't come here for this,
Right.
right? I come here to play and enjoy and have a good time. So, the fact that I'm not having a good time and I'm paying to do it, why am I still here?
Yeah, agreed.
And
I
so,
s I suppose you could have taken on a new pastime, though. You could have taken that opportunity, that challenge,
yeah,
and really thought, "No, I gotta change this culture."
I
'Cause
could have.
that's how I would have approached
Yeah.
it, I'm pretty sure. And I might have failed miserably in trying to change the culture. I might have realized within about a day that everyone just wasn't into, um, doing better, we'll
Yeah.
call it. And so, I might have bailed as well, but I sure as heck would have given it a hard effort to look down that bench and say, "You said what?
Yeah.
What on earth makes you think that you can say that kind of ignorance and feel that that's appropriate right now?
Yeah.
Oh, because that's how you were raised? Well, let's figure out how to raise you better."
Yeah, let's sort this out. Yeah, I made a couple direct interjections
Mm,
and was sloughed off and I was like, "Okay, cool. That's that." And I just kind of left. And so the me not playing anymore was more I didn't like the culture. I didn't like being there. That doesn't mean that won't play anymore, but the the thought process, I guess, what I'm trying to ask more along the lines is for someone that is, doing something as a hobby and just enjoying it, and they have some investment in it, but they're not all in, not grinding for a business, not I'm going to sell this, right? If they're just enjoying it, where's the line between dabbling and not?
mhm. Yeah, I think that that's a question that no one should ever find themselves in the position of if they've been paying attention.
Mm.
Like if you're present, if you're aware, if you know what's going on around you most of the time, nothing is an ambush except a literal ambush. And so, for you on that hockey bench, that moment wasn't an ambush.
No.
You'd been seeing it day after day, chip, chip, chipping. And that outcome on that bench was a result of you not getting involved in it maybe a year ago when the first goof who walked through the locker room said something under his breath,
Mhm.
just a little mutter. And you kind of did one of those, what?
Yeah.
And then let it slide.
Mm.
Hallway pass after hallway pass after hallway pass. That's
Yep.
how things turn into a big deal.
Yeah.
That's how the muttering turns into louder speak, then turns into everyone agreeing, then turns into everyone punching their fist at the sky and saying ignorant things.
Yeah.
But it could have been cut to the quick with a simple, "Sorry, did I mishear you there?"
Not in here, buddy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's I like that terminology. Nothing is an ambush except an actual ambush.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great line. And I just had a picture of like Space Ninja jumping out of the trees. I'm like, ambush. I'm like, okay, that's an ambush,
Yeah,
but
right.
but
Laser hole through your skull.
watch out for those laser pigs. They're gonna get you. But hey, we're at an hour. Really,
We
first
are.
off, appreciate the conversation. Some good
Dude, where's the
questions, some
time
good
go?
comments. It just disappears, right? Like every so often we just start talking and I look up and it's like 58 minutes. And I'm like, what just happened there?
I don't even know what we just talked about. I hope we did good.
Space ninjas and laser pigs and
Right.
and
Uh,
some other stuff.
good luck putting the show notes together.
You know what? I this is another interesting puzzle for me. So I
Congratulations,
gotta
Chance
solve it,
Pearls.
man. This
You're
is
welcome.
yes. Thank you so much. So before we go, thank you. But also, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed and liked and hit the notification bell, do so now. I've been randomly hitting the button up there just
You
to
have. It's
keep
almost
that
invisible even to my
almost.
sniper eyes, what I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's any bigger ones out there.
there are some bigger ones.
Probably not.
So here's the issue with the bigger one is that it's not quite in focus.
It is not. Do you know why? Because you've grabbed a poor,
Yeah, it's a low
it's
resolution. Yeah.
pixelated because it's low
Yeah.
resolution
Yeah.
animation.
Well, I'm in the search for better ones.
Yes,
Don't
you
you?
are.
I'm in the search for
Do you know
mugs
when
as
I
well. So
know that you're not in the search for a proper one?
when
Is
it's
when we get a
done,
proper one.
yeah, exactly. And we have mugs coming. So if you guys want
You
to
do
have
not. What? Don't say anything more. I don't even wanna know what phase it's at right now.
so be aware there might be some merch coming at some point. I am working on it. It's getting sorted and we have some stuff that's coming up. I'm looking forward to making sure it's good to go.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I know you'll do a great job, so I already consider it good to go. And
It's
if
gonna
it isn't,
be
it'll be a totally embarrassing moment live in front of the internet, so whatever.
for me.
That's right.
And you get to stand there and be like,
Oh,
told
yeah,
you,
I
man.
do.
Told you. Awesome. Well, I can't thank you all enough again for watching, for commenting, for asking questions. If you guys do want to ask more questions, ask more questions. Absolutely. Send us some comments. We're good to go. We'll discuss it and we will be ready to go for you tomorrow. So as we
Fantastic. Oh,
learn
build.
and grow
Bam.
together here on the collective.
Yeah, that was together.
We're gonna work on that. All right, talk to y'all
No,
later.
we're not.
Chimo.
Chimo.